Alright, what's going on, everybody? It's Falcon here again for another very, very unique video. Definitely one of my more unique videos that I have ever done. And in this video, I actually made a tier list. Now, this tier list is not your typical tier list. It's not a tier list of who's really strong, who's really weak. That's not the tier list I made. This tier list, I did post it on Twitter. I actually did make one change to it before, making a video on it, and it's with geese. But this tier list basically talks about, in my personal opinion, characters that I think should be buffed, stay the same, or need to take nerfs, as you can see on the titles. And I decided to do this because, you know, season 4 is basically guaranteed at this point, and season 3 is coming to an end soon, and I wanted to put out a tier list, in my personal opinion, my thoughts on what characters I think should get buffed, what characters I would nerf, what characters I wouldn't really touch a whole lot. And, you know, I'm not going to go in full detail with every single character in the game, because again, it's going to take forever, because there's almost 50 characters in this game. So it's going to take a long ass time to get through every character. And there are some characters that I don't 100% know what to do with, and those characters I mainly put in the middle, stay the same, or I put them in small buffs, because I'm just not 100% sure. So here are the categories. Characters that need big nerfs. These are characters that I personally think are too strong. Small nerfs, you know, characters that very strong, but I think they could use a nerf. They could use a small nerf. Not a huge nerf, just a small nerf in my opinion. Or a couple small nerfs. Characters that stay the same. Obviously, stay the same, you know what that means. Small buffs and big buffs. You know, you guys know what this means, what these mean. So, let's start with the characters that I think need big nerfs. So, number 1, we got Alyssa. This character, in my opinion, is way too strong right now. I don't understand why they keep buffing this character. This character is already easy and strong as she is. She has amazing fundamental tools. She has a party mode kind of play style that you can play very flowcharty cheesy with. And she has amazing movement. Her combo damage is kind of lacking, I will admit that. But I think overall, this character, for how simplistic she is, she's way too strong. And another thing I don't like about her is her fucking chainsaws. Why do they keep buffing Alyssa's chainsaws for? They already buffed them in Season 2. And even in Season 2, I thought her chainsaws were fucking annoying. And then they buff them for Season 3. It's like, unless a player is chainsawing me, I normally freeze up. Because I'm just like, okay, I'm probably going to get interrupted. The frames on her chainsaws right now are so annoying. They need to nerf her frames a little bit, in my opinion. And again, just way too easy. Anyone can play Alyssa. Legit. This character is so brain dead, so easy. And I just don't respect Alyssa. I'm sorry, I'm not shitting on her, but I just personally do not like Alyssa players. Some Alyssa players. I just don't like the character at all. There's nothing about this character that I like. So that's why I put her in the big nerf category. Next, I put Law because, again, this character has almost everything you would want in a character. The only thing that this character is lacking, in my opinion, is a good rage drive. His rage drive is one of the worst in the game. But it's like, Law doesn't need a good rage drive. He doesn't need that. He has everything else. He has mids, he's got lows, he's got frames with his DSS. That alone is super strong. His punishment, 14 frames standing launcher that hits from almost across the stage. That needs to be toned down. They nerfed the damage on it, but that's not enough. It's still way too good. It's like just Law is almost perfect. Like, I really don't see anything wrong with this character except for the rage drive, which again isn't that big of a deal. But I will admit he does take some execution with the DSS. But other than that, this character is not that hard to play. He really isn't. The DSS does take him up in execution a little bit, but once you get the DSS execution, Law has some of the craziest frames in the game, in my opinion. So this is another character I think they really need to tone down. Really need to tone down. I think he literally has almost everything. King, I also think King is too strong right now. This is another character that, just like Alyssa, can't stop getting buffed. I don't understand why they keep buffing this character. I really don't, because I mean, this character's crazy. He has crazy mids. His throws are godlike. His combos are amazing. His rage drive is also godlike, in my opinion. It's so versatile. You know, And, you know, one of King's major weaknesses is that he didn't have good lows. I mean, now he has Armor King's down 3. Forward, neutral 2 got buffed for some reason. Don't know why. You know, he has decent lows. I mean, they're not the best lows, but they're not bad. Combined with his godlike throws, his throws are easily the best in the game. I mean, his push, that gives a guaranteed 1+2 1 now for a wall bounce. He has gimmicks as well with the unblockables he has with his 1+4 Moonsault Slayer. He has the Burning Knuckle. That's good, you know. He has some cool tricks as well. And he has some decent fundamental tools. His down for 1 is really good. You know? He's got a solid hop kick. You know, it's a hop knee, so it can't be parried. And it has better range than you would think. It's a good move. Forward 2-1. Don't have to explain that move. Forward 1. Enough said. This character, another character I think needs to be toned down. A lot. They need to buff, not buff. They need to really nerf Armor King. Well, god damn it. They really need to nerf King. I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. But Armor King, in my opinion, needs big buffs. Like, he's in the big buff category. And I'm going to get to Armor King, too. But yeah, King, way too strong. Marduk. What's up with Marduk's damage? Marduk's damage alone needs to take a big nerf, in my opinion. And it's like, guys, we all know Marduk. We all know how Marduk players are. Like, do I even have to really explain this character? Again, why is this guy almost 5 times as good as Gigas? We first get Gigas, who, you know, people, I guess people didn't really play Marduk in Tag 2, I guess. That's why they got rid of him. And then they wanted a new original character that was like Marduk. Gigas, trash character, right? So then they're like, okay, Gigas was a disaster, let's bring back Marduk. And Marduk is like, it's like, why the hell would you ever play Gigas when you could play Marduk? Like there's literally no reason for Gigas to be here. When I saw Marduk on release, almost 2 years ago, I was just like, well, you might as well get rid of Gigas, because like there's no reason for him to be here when Marduk is back. So, what I think they should do here is nerf Marduk and buff Gigas. That'd be great. It'd make Gigas more interesting. And again, Marduk is not this dumbass monster. His mids, down back 2, up forward 3, his throws, his tackle, his rage drive, his damage, his Oki, his down forward 1, having ridiculous range. I mean, his ground throws are also just ridiculous in my opinion. Really good mix-ups. His lows are godlike in my opinion. Really good lows. Marduk is very good. Sure, he doesn't have a 13 frame down forward 1, but it's like, Marduk honestly doesn't even really need that. Doesn't seem like he needs that. And he even has a hell sweep from his ready stance. I forgot what it's called. I think it's ready stance, ready position. Again, the tackle alone is very annoying to deal with, especially online. I think Marduk's too good as well. Needs to be nerfed. And fuck Rom and Leroy. People, do I have to say anything else? These characters are some of the most ridiculous characters in the game. Fuck Rom, I'm not even going to get into. You all know how fuck Rom is. Leroy, even though Leroy has been nerfed a lot, he's still really good in my opinion. He still has almost everything you would want in a character. Same thing with Fuckrom. Like with Fuckrom, why does he have basically tag 2 movement in Tekken 7? Why does he have that? Why does Zafina have that when other characters don't have that? I think what they should do with Fuckrom, in my opinion, is either nerf his range or nerf his movement. I think nerfing his movement would be easier to do, or they could just buff everyone else's movement. I remember Solar saying this in one of his videos, that everyone should get buffed movement, and I agree. You basically, nerfing movement is basically nerfing a defensive option, just like he said in his video. So I agree. I mean, I love moving around with my character, but if I'm playing a character like Gigas, for example, I basically can't move. I can backdash, but I can't sidestep. Eddie, same problem. Jack, same problem. Can't sidestep. Kuma Panda, can't sidestep. So, either buffing everyone's movement, or just nerfing his movement, and Zafina, maybe not Zafina's, but definitely Fuckerom's. I think he'd already be, a little more fair, but still very good. Excuse me, guys. But yeah, fuck Rom Leroy. Again, we all know how obnoxious these characters are. I'm not even going to talk about them. I don't like those characters at all. They need to be toned down a lot. And now we're going to get to characters that I think need small nerfs. Kazuya and Jin, I think, are still too strong right now. Kazuya, don't know why he keeps getting buffed. I think that he's way too good. You know, they need to nerf... Shit. They need to nerf something with him. Because right now, Kazuya, this is one of the best Kazuyas. This actually, in my opinion, is the best Kazuya in a modern Tekken game. He's just obnoxious. You know, why does he have... Why does all of the Mishimas have a tracking electric that basically... And also recovers fast on whiff? Basically like a... Honestly, I think this is even better than a Tekken 5 electric because of the tracking they got. I don't understand why that's a thing, but... Yeah, Kazuya needs nerfs. Jin still needs nerfs. I don't know why. I mean, Jin did get nerfs in Season 3, but then they gave him Zen 1-3. I don't understand why on earth that Jin got that, but okay, I guess that busts his damage, which he already had good damage and good carry. But yeah, Jin still needs to be nerfed, enough said. Hordong, fuck this character. Paul, I think needs a damage nerf. I don't know why they buffed his wall damage for Season 3. His mix-ups are obnoxious. I mean, and he has some just amazing moves. Godlike punishment. Sure, he doesn't have the best pokes, but Paul doesn't even really need... If Paul had good pokes, this character would be busted. Yeah, Paul needs a nerf. And again, with Hordong, I'll just say, like I said, fuck this character. I hate fighting this character. But the thing that makes me frustrated with Hordong is that this character also just can't stop getting buffed. Why do you need to keep buffing Hordong? Honestly, instead of buffing him, you're just making him more obnoxious and annoying to deal with. Please, why hasn't the Backlash been nerfed yet? Does that make sense? Why hasn't Backlash been nerfed? You know? 444 I think could use a nerf. And his damage needs to be nerfed. Again, like they did in Season 2. But it needs to be nerfed even more. His damage is obnoxious. Now, sure, he takes execution. But once you have the execution, this is one of the most annoying characters to deal with in the entire game. I hate Hordongs, man. And, you know, it's just... You either love Hordong or I think you would hate Hordong. He's like a... He's kind of like that. Okay. Steve. Yeah, obviously Steve needs nerfs. I don't understand why he hasn't been nerfed a lot yet. I mean, they did nerf his down 4-2, sure. That is a good nerf, but I think he needs more than that. That's not enough. The character is way too safe. His rage drive is just like, what? Why did he need that rage drive? Like, Season 1 Steve was good, but his weakness was he didn't have a good rage drive. But it was fair, you know, because he didn't need a good rage drive. So then they gave him the blue Sonic Fang. I mean, come on, man. That shit's too obnoxious, in my opinion. Godlike range, it's super fast, launcher, tracks, plus on block. As good as Steve is, people, do you guys think he needed the best rage drive in the game? Absolutely not. No. Steve needs nerfs. Guys, we all know this. Asuka, super piss easy and quite good. Maybe not as bad as Alyssa in my opinion, but I think she still needs nerfs. Season 2, Asuka was kind of a joke. They buffed her so much for some reason. But, Asuka, in my opinion, could use a nerf. I think that she's way too easy for how good she is. Geese. This is going to be interesting. Now, some people think Geese needs to be buffed, some people think he needs to be nerfed. The thing with Geese, and I have talked to a couple people about this character, they think that he's not very good. Because he has range problems, right? And you'd be right. He does have range problems. The main moves that will clip people at further ranges is down 4. But that's super telegraphed at that range, because there's nothing else Geese can really do at that range. And it's super punishable. The only weakness I can really see for Geese is his range. And for his punishment sometimes. You know? And I will admit that that's a solid weakness. I'm sorry guys, I can't talk. Solid weakness. But then, again, what's up with his damage? Why did you give him a Moon Slicer that can basically almost death combo you? Especially if you have Rage, and you have all meter. Even if you have 1 bar of meter, he could do easily more than 50% damage on you. His combos, honestly, are not that hard, in my opinion. They're really not. You know what I mean? I mean, his combos take execution, obviously. I'm not saying it takes no execution, but not as much execution as a character like Akuma. You know what I mean? The Moon Slicer is too much. They need to nerf his damage a bit. And they did nerf his fundamental tools, which I think that was a decent idea, because his pressure was just so obnoxious, along with his dumb dick jab he had. But even now, even with the nerf frames on his fundamental tools, I still think his pressure is obnoxious, in my opinion. Because when a Geese is pressuring me, I have a very hard time dealing with it. I don't know if it's just me, but I always had a hard time when a Geese was pressuring me at close range. So without meter, Geese is the best character without meter, in my opinion, because of his godlike fundamental tools. And again, they were nerfed, absolutely, but they're still so good, though, in my opinion. And his damage, again, and his wall pressure, when your back is to the wall against Geese, what the heck are you supposed to do? I just have to sit there and block and deal with it. And then you have his parry. His mid parry alone is just ridiculous. It launches next to walls. Or if he has 1 bar of meter, he can basically kill you if he hits that that parry on you. And sidestep 3. Sidestep 3 is a very, very good low in my opinion. Now sure, again, it does lack range. Has range problems, absolutely. But when you're next to the wall, and when you're pressuring at close range, when the opponent's not really doing anything, the frames are godlike on it. +6, I think. -12 on block. Counter hit launcher. And I think it might hit grounded too, but I'm not sure. Now, people might say, well, it's telegraphed because you have to sidestep first. And again, you'd be right. That's true. But if they're ducking when you're sidestepping, you can do a sidestep into a mid. You can sidestep down forward 1, sidestep down forward 2, sidestep into back 3-2, or just step into basically whatever you want to do. So you can use that as kind of a mix-up. So I think sidestep 3 is a pretty good low in my opinion. You know? And I'm not saying give Geese humongous nerfs because, you know, I personally do think he's still very good. I do personally, in my personal opinion. But I'm not saying nerf him to the ground, but I think he could use a damage nerf. His damage is just way too much. Way too much, in my personal opinion. And again, this is my opinion. So if you want to disagree with me, I respect that. But in my opinion, I still think Geese is good. I'm not saying Geese is overpowered like some people are saying, because he's not overpowered. Absolutely not, because of his range. But I think he's still a very solid character. It's still very viable. Julia, fuck Julia. That's all I'm gonna say. This character is, in my opinion, the best female character in the game. She is so obnoxious. Her pressure, her strings, her combos alone, her 50-50s, her strings, her throws are pretty good. Her get-in tools, I think I already said. Her frames. This character has almost everything, honestly. But this character, in my opinion, this character does take execution. She is technical. That's why I'm not putting her up at big nerfs, because she is difficult. She does take execution, which I do respect. But once you have the execution, you basically have the best female character in the game. But since she takes execution, I'm not going to put her in big nerfs. I think I'll just put her in small nerfs. I think she could definitely use a nerf. Zafina, I'm not 100% positive about this character, but I do think she's very, very good. Her movement alone is god tier. She's a very confusing kind of character. She has some decent fundamental tools. Not the best fundamental tools, but not bad at all. Her wall damage is crazy. Her down forward 2, even though it is 16 frames, it's really good with its range. If that down forward 2 was 15 frames, it'd be one of the best down forward 2s in the game, in my opinion. I think Zafina is overall very good. Very strong character. But again, I think she could use a small nerf. And again, people are so weak to the matchup. No one knows Zafina, basically. Very few people do. So, you could get away with murder with this character against most people. You know what I mean? So, shit, it's been a while. Now let's get into the stay the same. Characters I think should stay the same. Akuma. Personally, people probably will disagree with me on this one. People will probably put him in small nerfs. And here's the thing. This character does have some obnoxious shit. Absolutely. He's got, I mean, guys, you know what I'm talking about with Akuma. Like, I don't even have to explain everything. But the reason why I put him in stay the same is because, one, he takes really fucking good execution to do. Like, if you see an Akuma doing death combos and shit, that is hard to do. Unlike with Geese, where it's not as much execution, Akuma takes really good execution to do his combos. Like, it's really, really high damage combos. And his obnoxious shit going, like, down 2 into the Hadouken, into cancel, into combo. That takes execution. Even I can't really do that. You know? Akuma takes some of the most execution in the game. And they've already nerfed him quite a bit coming into some of the updates. Like, they nerfed his damage. His forward 4 got castrated. I think they nerfed him enough. I mean, if you think he needs a nerf, I don't blame you. I think he could still use a nerf. I could put Akuma in small nerfs, but when I first thought of him, I think he's okay, but again, Akuma, I'm not 100% sure on, but I think you could definitely put him in small nerfs. But his execution is just really high, and they've already nerfed him quite a bit, so, you know, keep that in mind. Devil Jin. The reason why I think Devil Jin is fine is because in Season 3, they gave him a huge nerf on his up forward 4. That up forward 4 nerf was such a big deal for Devil Jin. So Devil Jin does have a weakness now where he doesn't have a super brain-dead powerful mid anymore. So I think Devil Jin is very good, absolutely. But I don't think, I mean, again, another character you could put in small nerfs. But, you know, I think Devil Jin is fine the way he is. Maybe they could nerf something with him, but again, I don't really know. Dragunov, I personally think is fine. I think they already nerfed his ridiculous busted combos, but I personally think Dragunov is fine right now. I think Dragunov is only good in the right hands of people. Most people don't really do well with Dragunov because because most Dragunov players that I play are extremely predictable. But when I play against a good Dragunov player, yeah, you know, the character is kind of ridiculous, but you know, I personally think Dragunov is okay right now. I don't think he's still very strong though, very, very strong. Bob, I think, is also solid. Again, I don't think he needs big buffs or nerfs. They've given him small buffs, but honestly, this is a character that I'm not sure Namco knows what to do with, because no one plays Bob. Like, I don't think I have a single friend that plays Bob, unless if I'm forgetting somebody. You know, I think Bob is good, but, you know, I don't think he needs buffs or nerfs. I think he's fine the way he is. Brian, I think he's fine the way he is. I don't think he needs any more buffs. Another character that always gets buffed, which I understand because he is very, very hard. But I think the buff on the hatch kick was enough. And I think Brian's fine. His punishment's a lot better now. The hatchet kick is much better, even though it was already very good. Brian is overall, yeah, a very strong character. But again, only in the right hands of good players. Xiao Yu. This is honestly a character I actually don't really know about. I don't know a shitload about. So I did put her in the middle. I know she was nerfed in Season 2. And I think they buffed her a little bit for Season 3. But this is a character I'm going to let you guys decide on. Do you guys think she needs buffs or nerfs? What do you guys think? For me, I'm not 100% sure. She is annoying to fight, absolutely. But if you know the matchup, she's much harder to play. She's still good, though. So yeah, guys, Shay, I'm just not sure about. So I put her in the middle. Feng Wei. I think Feng Wei is also very solid character. He's basically like Jin, but easier to use, but not as strong. Very complete character, good at almost everything except for his hop kick range and his balls. But yeah, his hop kick range is a problem. But other than that, I don't see many problems with the character. I think he's very good. So yeah, Feng Wei I think stays the same. Jack I think is fine. I don't really see anything crazy for this guy to buff or nerf. Kazumi. Some people say that Kazumi should get nerfed again. And, you know, in my opinion, I think Kazumi is still very strong. Absolutely. But I think they nerfed her enough. I think she already got nerfed for Season 2. They nerfed her for Season 3. You know, her frames have been getting nerfed. You know, her down back 4 got castrated, basically. It doesn't hit grounded anymore. And it's no longer, it doesn't do a counter hit knockdown anymore. That's a pretty big deal, because that was one of the best lows in the game. So, yeah. But honestly, I think Kazumi is still very strong. She has some of the best fundamental tools in the game. But, again, Kazumi is a character that is only really good in the hands of strong players. You need to be very good with fundamentals to do very well with Kazumi. But I think she's fine right now, in my personal opinion. Some people might say she needs to be nerfed, but I think she's fine. I don't think she needs to be nerfed again. Shaheen, I think, is fine. Nothing too crazy with him. Very strong, kind of like Kazumi, very strong fundamental-based character. But again, yeah, I don't think he needs any crazy buffs or nerfs. Jose also, I think, is fine. Lei, I think, is fine. I think he's balanced well. He has really good mix-ups, really annoying stances, a very annoying character to fight, but his frames are not good. That's a good kind of character. That's a good balanced character. You know? Very, very good gimmick-wise, but fundamental-wise, he's not a good character. I don't think this character needs buffs or nerfs either. Negan, I think Negan is also very solid. I think he's definitely a solid mid-tier, mid-high, around there. Again, great pressure. You know, they really fixed him for Season 3, going in from Season 2 to Season 3. I think Negan's very fun. Negan's very underrated, in my opinion. I think he definitely puts in work. But, you know, I think he's fine. No crazy buffs or nerfs. And Genryu, I think some people might say he needs to be nerfed because they say that his pressure is so obnoxious. And you're right. His frames at up close are extremely, extremely good. However, Genryu has big range problems, kind of like with Geese. When Geese gets in your face, it's going to be a hard time to deal with. Genryu, same thing. Once he gets in your face, it's a wrap. He's going to kill you with his pressure and frames. But once you keep him out, that's when Genryu has problems. So Genryu absolutely has weaknesses. And also his combo damage is very good too. But in my opinion, I do play Genryu. In my opinion, I don't think he needs crazy buffs. But maybe you could nerf him a little bit, but I think Genryu's fine, honestly. Some people might disagree with me on this character. And now we're going to get to characters that need small buffs, in my opinion. Heihachi is the only Mishima that I feel needs small buffs because he is the most flawed. I think he's arguably the hardest Mishima, even though all the Mishimas are very hard. His punishment has problems, and his lows have problems. But the thing is, though, is his mids are so obnoxious that I don't think they need to buff his lows. His lows are already, you know, they're not great, but they're okay. They're serviceable for what he does. Because if he had a good low poke, literally he would easily be the best Mishima in the game. Easily. His pressure, his mids, his combo damage is insanely good. His rage drive is super good. Very good rage drive. You know? But what I think they could buff with him is his wall standing punishment. His wall standing 3 1+2 was supposed to be an 18 frame wall standing launcher, which it is. But the problem with it is that the combo afterwards is so inconsistent. The hell sweep follow-up is so hard to do. And it doesn't do as much damage as a crouch cancel electric. So I think what they could do with that is either maybe make the move faster to come out, like maybe 16 frames maybe, or 17? Maybe 16 frames. Or maybe make the combo easier to do afterwards. Or maybe do even both. And make his wall standing punishment better. That would be a nice thing with Heihachi. You know, other than that, I still think Heihachi's decent. But again, he has problems. Nina could definitely use a buff. If you know the strings, if you know the attacks, Nina is not very good in my opinion. But I think she's slightly better than Anna at higher levels of play because she's not as risky as Anna. But both the Williams sisters need buffs in my opinion. Could definitely use one. Lily also I think needs buffs. I never thought she was incredibly. I think she's underrated. I think she's decent, but I never thought she was a huge problem to where she should be nerfed. Because they nerfed her for Season 3 for some reason. I don't know why. So I think she could be buffed. I don't know how exactly, because I'm not the best Lily player. I don't really play Lily too often. I play her a little bit, but you know, she could use something. Leo, this is a character personally I don't know about. This is another character that maybe I'll let you guys decide on. Do you think he should be buffed or nerfed? I think Leo is good, but you know, I don't know. I think he could use a small buff, but I'm not sure. Maybe he could stay the same. I think Leo's good, but I never see a Leo, so that's why I don't have the best Leo experience, but yeah, I'm not the best Leo player, so I can't really say. But I put him in small buffs because I had a lot of characters for stay the same, even though I have more characters at small buffs. My bad. Katarina. Katarina did get some frame buffs in some update, but yeah, they nerfed her to shit for season 3. I don't know why they did that. Maybe because people kept complaining about her, which, I mean, she is the easiest character in the game, and she is pretty solid for what she does, but because she got more frame buffs, I'm not going to put her in big buffs, but maybe she could use another small buff, because if people know the matchup and punish you properly, I think Katarina is hard to play. But if people don't know the matchup, I mean, she's literally Oonga Boonga, get away with murder kind of character. So that's what I think about Katarina. Claudio, I'm also not 100% sure on. I know he got really good buffs for season 3. But I don't know. Claudio is solid. I think he's a solid mid tier. You could also argue him being the same, staying the same, not getting too much. But I don't think he needs a huge nerf in my opinion. But again, Claudio, he is very easy. He is limited though, but you know, if the Claudio player is very unpredictable, he's definitely decent in the right hands. But he could use a little. They could maybe buff another one of his lows. Maybe give him down back 4-3, maybe +1 or +2 instead of 0. That could be something. But I don't know. Maybe what they could do is nerf his hop kick a little bit again and buff other things. So he's not just this hop kick kind of character. And nerf his back 1. That's something I actually would like if they nerf his back 1. Nerf his back 1, but again, give him other solid mid tools, because honestly, you literally just do back one all the time, because that move's almost perfect. So if they nerf that move a little bit and buff his other tools, then I think that he could be a little more interesting. Because right now, honestly, I think he's kind of bland. Raven, I think Raven is decent. She does take risks. She does have gimmicks, but her damage alone is absurd in my opinion. She has good keep out tools, good space control in general. Her poking is decent, but I think she's good. I think she's very solid. I think people sleep on her. Probably because you don't see many Ravens, but this is another character I'm just not 100% sure on. She could use a buff or stay the same. I'm not sure. Chloe does have some obnoxious shit, of course. The Cali roll, her damage. Maybe they could. I think what they should do with her is maybe nerf her fucking Cali roll bullshit she does. And again, buff her other tools. So it's not just like Cali roll all the time. Or down 4-1. Because again, I just think she's also kind of bland. In my opinion. So this is another character where they could nerf her ridiculous shit. And then buff her other tools. That'd be kind of good. That would be nice. I'd like for them to do that with Chloe. But I don't know if they're going to do that. Eddie could definitely use buffs. They need to buff his 4-2-3. I don't know why they haven't fixed that yet. Because that move is punishable even on hit for a 12-frame punish. So technically, you could say that that's probably the worst 12-frame punish in the game. Because you can be punished even on hit. So I hope they fix that. And I hope they can just fix his, you know. Again, I'm not saying give him humongous buffs. Because he's a very gimmicky kind of character. So he shouldn't have amazing frames. But he could use a buff. Especially with that 4-2-3, because that is a problem. Eliza, I put her in small buffs. I was actually gonna put her in big buffs because her frames are so bad. But the thing is with her is that I don't think she's meant to be strong. I don't think she's meant to be a super strong character. I think she's also meant to be this very gimmicky 2D character with bad frames, you know? I mean, because if Eliza had Geese poking, or even Akuma frames on some of his attacks, Eliza would be kind of busted. She has some crazy shit, people. Her dive kicks alone are fucking annoying. Her down 3 or down 4 is fucking annoying, especially at the wall. At the wall, she has godlike mix-ups, in my opinion. Her combos are very solid. She has a DP, which is always nice to have. Her dick jab is good, you know? I just don't think that Eliza needs humongous buffs. She could definitely use a small buff. I'm not saying she shouldn't be buffed, but I think that they should be careful what they do with her because she's so strong online. Like I never have a fun time playing against Eliza players. I just don't. I have some Eliza knowledge, but it's not enough. I need more Eliza stuff. I think she's fucking annoying. That's why I didn't put her in big buffs, even though she is one of the worst characters in the game on paper. Kuma and Panda, also kind of like Eliza, just do super well online, super annoying gimmicks and bullshit, but I don't think they need super humongous buffs because that's how they're designed. They're not, again, Kuma and Panda aren't designed to be strong characters. They have good gimmicks, but terrible frames. That's just how they're made. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't think they should buff their frames, because again, if they did that, Kuma would be god tier. So, yeah, but again, they could definitely use small buff. I don't know why they nerfed them for Season 3. I think it's because Raichu did well with them in Tournament, but that's not a reason to nerf a character. Unless if they are, like, really top tier. Because, again, Kuma and Panda are low tier. Some of the worst characters in the game, so... Miguel was castrated, in my opinion, for Season 3. I don't know why they nerfed him so much. The Savage Down 4-2 alone, in my opinion, is a pretty big deal. The Magic 4 was also a pretty big deal. And Savage Down by 3. Those 3 nerfs alone really hurt the character. Miguel was very good in Season 2. He was very bad in Season 1, very good in Season 2, and okay in Season 3. I think he could use buffs. Down 4-1-2, getting that knockdown is nice. And they buffed his Rage Drive. His Rage Drive is actually good now. That's nice. So they did buff him a little bit, but I think he could use some more buffs, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying that because I play the character. I'm dead serious. They need to give Savage Down 4-2 a little bit more pushback again. Like Season 1 pushback, in my opinion. And buff his range, please. I don't know why his range on his jabs still suck. But I think if you did that, Miguel would definitely be very solid again. I'm not saying buff the down back 3 again. I'm not saying buff the Magic 4 again. But just buff the other tools. Make Miguel more interesting. Noctis, I like what they did with Noctis in Season 3, where they nerfed his cheesy bullshit moves and then buffed his other tools. That is exactly how I liked him being buffed, but I think Noctis could still use a buff. I'm not saying buff his ridiculous moves again, but maybe give him some frames or something, better frames or something. I don't know. But Noctis could use some more stuff. Again, don't give him humongous buffs. I'm not asking that, but I think Noctis is fine, but you can give him a small buff for all I care. And Anna, of course, needs buffs. I mean, I'm not saying buff her frames, because that's not what I'm saying. The main thing I want to see her buff with is her hitboxes. She still has rough hitbox issues. If you buff that, then I think she'd already be doing better. But, again, Anna's another character that I think is designed to not be super strong. She's designed to be high risk, high reward, mix-up machine all day. But the problem is that if Anna guesses wrong, they basically die. So that's the trade-off. Anna's not supposed to be a super good character. But yeah, buff her hitbox. Her hitbox problems. I'm sorry. You did that, Anna would be doing better. So those are the characters I think need small buffs. And now we're getting to characters that need big buffs, in my opinion. Lars. I mean, guys, we already know about Lars. Do I even have to say a whole lot? They need to buff a little bit more on his frames. They buffed some of his frames in Season 3, which is great. But I think they should keep going on that. I think you should give him something. Maybe give him a tool that's actually really good for beating sidestep right, because that's a big problem with him. Sidestep right. I'm not saying buff his lows by any means, but maybe give him some tracking tools to stop sidestep right. That's a very good start. And just give him some more tools, the down 4-2, full crouch down 4-2, it's good, but it's nothing compared to the original down 4-2, because you have the full crouch to do it. While with the original down 4-2, you just hit down 4-2. I'm not saying do that, but just give him some other tools, And maybe do something else. Maybe give him another Rage Drive, because this original Rage Drive sucks in my opinion. So maybe give him another Rage Drive. That could be nice. Lars, I think, needs buffs. Absolutely. Absolutely. He's still not very good. Yoshi, this character I just feel can be very inconsistent. Maybe I think he could get a solid fundamental tool. I'm not saying completely buff his frames or whatever, because if you did that, then again, it's not Yoshi anymore. It's like a whole different character. But I think he could definitely use a decent fundamental tool, or maybe something in his punishment or something. You know what I mean? This is a character you could say needs a small buff, but I think Yoshi could definitely use some solid buffs. I think he needs them, because his frames are just terrible. He does not have good frames, but he is a very tricky character, which is kind of the trade-off. He has all the tricky stuff, which is a reason to why to not buff his really buff his frame data, or maybe buff his damage or something. I don't know. Gigas, People, do I have to say anything about Gigas? I mean, I think Gigas is better than people say he is. You know, he does have ridiculous damage. His standing punishment is actually very good and very simple. His jab is one of the best in the game. His down for 1 is pretty good, even though it's very minus on block. But, you know, other than that... Oh, and his down back 2 is pretty decent, but even though Marx is a lot better. But, people, do I have to say anything about Gigas? This guy needs buffs. He just does. He has problems. One thing I would like for them to do is maybe buff his movement. His movement is trashed here. You can't step. You can't even backdash very well with him. He has no panic moves outside of a dick jab. His power crush is slow as shit, so that's not really usable. His panic moves suck. And it's like... And it's also just remember the environment that this Gigas is in. This Gigas is in a game where you have Leroy and Fuckaram. And when you have King, Alisa, Lol, Marduk. So because of that, it's like, why play Gigas? What they should do is buff Gigas, nerf Marduk. If they did that, just make Gigas interesting. Make Gigas interesting. They did give him some nice buffs in the last patch, like down forward 4-1 plus 2, becoming a combo. That's nice. But he needs more than that, to be honest. I really do think he does. He needs big buffs. We all know this. Gigas is trashed here. And buff his Rage Drive, or give him another Rage Drive or something. I could go on for about an hour talking about Gigas. I do like Gigas. I do play him, but I've been playing him a lot more. But, you know, when people know the matchup, it's like, how the fuck do I play Gigas? Lee, I've talked about Lee in my patch note video, and I just kind of complained that he needs more buffs, which he does. I think he's super hard to play, and the reward is, it's better than Season 1, but it's still not amazing. I talked about what they could do for his buffs in the other patch note video, but again, Lee needs buffs, big buffs. They need to revert some of the changes from season 3. I don't know why they nerfed the down 3. 4-4 shouldn't have been nerfed. 1-3-3 shouldn't have been nerfed. You know. But I think Lee, you know, for how hard you have to work with him, you need to get some output. Like, Lee, honestly, right now, just doesn't really have an identity. He doesn't really have one. His identity was his wall carry, but it's like almost every character can do that now. So it's like Lee isn't really special anymore. It's like there's really just no reason to play Lee in this environment like Gigas when you could play another very godlike character like Lol, to be honest. So honestly, with Lee, give him an identity. Give him something, you know? Just give him something. Anything. That just shows that he's very special. And now we're on to the final character, Armor King. This is interesting. I don't think Armor King is that good, to be honest. I think that his mids are not very scary, except maybe the hop kick. He does have a good punishment. His standing punishment is very good. His whiff punishment is really good with his dark uppercut and his lariat. His throws are very good, absolutely. You know, his combo damage is good, but Season 2 it was better because now everyone can do 1,000,000 damage. And, you know, again, just Armor King doesn't really have an amazing identity. Kind of like with Lee. I think they need to buff his mids, give him better frames on his mids, and maybe what they could do is give him his sidestep 2 back. Make it knock down a normal hit for a free 3+4. That would be a really good buff. Revert it back to tag 2. If they did that, holy crap, that would be a big deal. And again, if you buff the movement, Armor King gets stronger, because Armor King was known for his movement, you know? Movement into Dark Upper and Lariat, that takes work, you know? Armor King is very hard to play, you know? And the output you don't get much output playing with Armor King when you can play with King. It's like, why play Armor King right now when you can play with King? That honestly now is a much better than Armor King. So this is another case like with Mark and Gigas. Nerf Armor King, nerf King, not Armor King, and buff Armor King. Do that, King becomes more interesting, and Armor King becomes more interesting. You'll see more Armor Kings. But as of right now, I don't see many of them. They need to do something with Armor King. Just give him his sidestep 2 back. That alone is really going to help Armor King. And if you nerf like King's 4-4-1 and buff sidestep 2 with Armor King, I mean, that's already good. Just keep going, you know? honestly, as of right now, I don't see why play Armor King when you could play King. But yeah, that's basically my characters that I think should be buff and nerf kind of tier list. I hope that you guys enjoy listening to my opinions. Some people might agree with me on these, some people might disagree with me on these. This is, again, remember guys, this is my personal opinion, so keep that in mind. But anyway guys, hope you guys enjoyed my little video. Thank you everyone for stopping by. This is Falcon. Peace out everyone.